Yeah. Welcome back to the Audacity Podcast. I am the man on the street. And today on the Audacity Podcast, what we're going to be talking about is what? Man, that LeBron James post-game interview. Man, he talked about that photo of Jerry Jones back in 1957 and also how the media covered it. Also, let's talk about these pundits. Man, it sounds like they're changing their tune about that photo. So, are you ready? I know I am. So let's go. Man, that was a good post interview by LeBron James. But don't listen to me. Let's hear the man in his own words. And tell me what you think of what LeBron had to say down in the comments. The man on the street wants to know.
After the Lakers defeated the Trailblazers on Wednesday, LeBron James concluded his press conference with a question for reporters. James wondered why he hadn't been asked about a photograph of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. You can see it there on your screen. It shows Jones and a group of white boys blocking 6 black students attempting to enter North Little Rock High School, a desegregated school, when he had been asked about Kyrie Irving. The 1957 photo was a part of a Washington Post story titled "Jerry Jones Helped Transform the NFL, Except When It Comes to Race," and includes an examination of Jones's failure to hire black coaches. Here's LeBron James.
I was wondering why I haven't gotten a question from you guys about the Jerry Jones photo. But when the Kyrie thing was going on, you guys were quick to ask us questions about that.
Okay.
Hold on. And I don't even want you guys to say nothing. When I watched Kyrie talk and he says, I know who I am, but I want to keep the same energy when we're talking about my people and the things that we've been through. And that Jerry Jones photo is one of those moments that our people, black people, have been through in America. And I feel like as a black man, as a black athlete, as someone with power and a platform, when we do something wrong or something that people don't agree with, it's on every single tabloid, every single news coverage. It's on the bottom ticker. It's asked about every single day. But it seems like to me that the whole Jerry Jones situation photo, and I know it was years and years ago and we all make mistakes, I get it. But it seemed like it's just been buried under like, oh, it happened. Okay, we just move on. And I was just kind of disappointed that I haven't received that question from you guys. Appreciate it.
That was LeBron last night. Richard, your reaction to this?
Well, I think it's tough because I think some people, when they watch that, they don't understand, like, you see clips of LeBron James press conferences, but a lot of times for a player of his stature and his platform, he's asked about everything all the time. Did you see this? Or what were your thoughts on this? And even during the shop episode on Thursday Night Football that he has on Amazon, they asked him why he wasn't a Cowboys fan anymore. And it was, he said that he didn't believe in Jerry Jones and the way he had handled some of the stuff during the Kaepernick and the kneeling time. And that was a big moment because that was a lot of news that all of a sudden LeBron James said this, and it was on an NFL broadcast for him to say these things. And then to have this Jerry Jones picture come up just a week or so, 2 weeks later, he's asked about everything. So a lot of times he's prepared to talk about these things. And then when he doesn't, he's probably surprised. And I think one thing that I always remember, when Kyrie was going through his situation and there were so many things and so many people we talked about in this show, a lot of things that I were hearing is players were notably quiet. That's what we kept hearing. That's what I kept hearing. Players were notably quiet. And so while that might have been true, there also was a part where now players are listening and watching, and they're recognizing who is notably quiet. And that's the part that I think he has issue with. You can talk about players being notably quiet, but let's also talk about who's notably quiet during these moments.
Park?
Yeah, and that's a great point because I want to add to that, right? So I mean, the NFL is notably quiet right now, right? So you just think about the whole situation in general. You don't hear guys like Tom Brady. You don't hear Aaron Rodgers. Hell, you don't even hear Bill Belichick speaking on the situation. Why not? Like, I understand where Braun is coming from, and I'm with him. He's right? Like, let's address it. Let's put it out there just like we would do any other athlete or the way that we did Kyrie Irving athlete. But if we gonna hold everybody accountable, let's hold everybody accountable, because LeBron James is not just the only iconic figure out there in the world that has a powerful voice that people listen to, that people follow, that people look up to as a leader. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at the NFL and I'm looking at, again, Tom Brady, quiet, Aaron Rodgers, quiet, Bill Belichick, quiet. So it's a lot of accountability and a lot of finger pointing we could do all across the board, especially when it comes down to this situation.
Vince?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Where's the lie? What he just said, what LeBron has said, what RJ has said, it's all true. And we have to figure these things out. And what LeBron is saying is, like, you can't point the finger all the time when those three are pointing back at you. So sometimes we got to step up and ask those questions and hold everyone accountable, like Perk said. And now, what's next? That's for me. What happens now? What's next?
In these moments, it's a reminder, right, that our industry, the news industry, the television industry, it's predominantly white. And it's our job to check our biases, to examine our biases, and see how we can continue to be better in covering these stories. I would encourage everyone to check out the Washington Post's entire reporting, including the final essay by Jerry Brewer. It's incredibly poignant.
Okay, here's the photo in question, which was published by the Washington Post on November 23rd. Jay Williams joining the conversation. Great to have you, Jay.
Whatever you want, baby.
Jay, I'll start with you. Your reaction to all of this.
Do you mind if I just have a moment, Stephen A? Sure. I look into the camera?
Sure.
I just want to specifically ask Jerry Jones to denounce racism. I think it's very important with where we're at in this time in history right now. I didn't hear him do that with Colin Kaepernick. His silence was heard all over the country as related to George Floyd. And here was another opportunity where, frankly, Stephen A., I felt like his answer felt to me it was above approach, right? He was above the matter. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jones, our friend. I think that's very important. And I say that because I don't condone the 14-year-old kid doing that. Like, I agree with you. We're on the same page, 14-year-old kid, curiosity. Yeah. But sometimes in life, there's good people and there's bad people. And what happened on his commentary when he was addressed about this, which he had multiple days to think about, the direct quote was, "I don't know that I or anybody anticipated or had a background of knowing what was involved. It was more of a curious thing." Mm-hmm. Why is Jerry Jones absolving the hundreds of people who were around him who had different intention? Why is he speaking for everybody's intention when you could tell that maybe he was curious, but there were a lot of people there who weren't curious? There were a lot of people there who were racist, and that's okay to say. What was even more concerning for me is that when Kyrie Irving posts a pic of Hebrews to Negroes, we automatically come to the table by saying you need to denounce anti-Semitism. But Jerry Jones didn't denounce racism, right? It felt like he deflected. And how come he didn't use words, Stephen A., like that moment was a grotesque time in history. Mm-hmm. It was monstrous. It was ugly. Those kids didn't deserve that. But his whole approach, Stephen A., felt like he was above that. Now, I know there are power dynamics in how this whole situation works. Kyrie Irving is an employee, Jerry Jones, an owner of a team. And I get that people are going to say, well, at the end of the day, if it doesn't affect Jerry Jones's bottom line, then he's going to stay away from that. And what I'm trying to say right now, for where we're at in this time of history, you need to choose a side. Because that moment, Jerry Jones, the 80-year-old man, reminded me of the 14-year-old kid still being curious. And you can't be curious when you're in a position of power in the NFL representing hundreds of black people that work for your organization. The players have asked you to speak up about things like this. I just felt like it was a very missed opportunity for him. Now, I'm not saying Jerry Jones is racist, but I need him to publicly address. And I'm also curious, Stephen A., what he has learned from this experience. We talk about holding people accountable, holding their feet to the fire. I'm curious about what he has learned from this entire situation, because that's what we asked of Kyrie Irving.
You know, I love what you just said. I actually want to thank you for what you just said, because I don't disagree with a single word. Here's what I want everybody to understand, and this is why I went off about it on my podcast, No Mercy, because you got people that wanted to come at me in the wrong way. I stand by what I said in regards to a 14-year-old in a still photo, and that's what you want to use to jump on them. You just highlighted there's plenty of other things to jump on Jerry Jones about. You ain't never hired a black coach. You didn't stand up for Colin Kaepernick and his rights as an American citizen to do what he did. You didn't speak out initially. You were actually hiding when it came to social justice issues, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones would tell you, I told him that. Where you at? I don't give a damn what you say. Say something. You got to speak up. You can't be quiet. But that's entirely different than using a still photo of a 14-year-old standing in a crowd in 1957, pre-civil rights, pre-voting rights, because clearly the climate of those times were what it was. Do we need to regurgitate what the hell was going on in the Jim Crow South? We all know that story. Lynchings, murders, rapes, mayhem, all types of stuff, all types of insidious, despicable things that was done and inflicted upon the black race. We understand what the hell was going on down there. So if you're Jerry Jones and you're standing in the crowd, I'm looking at how you're acting more than I'm looking at what the environment is. Because to me, that environment was all over the damn side.
Now you heard what Stephen A. had to say, but he wasn't saying that the other day. So, do you agree with Stephen A? Hey, I think he's back. I think he's backtracking because he wasn't saying that the other day. What do you think about LeBron James? What did he have to say? I totally agree with LeBron. Hey, there's nothing to say. You know, 1957, the movement, the civil rights movement was about to start, and Jerry Jones should have came out and said, hey, you know, I was 14 years old, and that was the time back then, but I don't think that way. Hey, I said this in my last podcast when I talked about the photo of Jerry Jones. If you go back and listen to that podcast, you will hear the same thing that I said, and this was like, I think about 4 or 5 days ago. And I was right on the point. I was right on the point when I said what I said. You know, the lie about it being I'm curious 14-year-old, that didn't fly with me. Because 1957 was a turbulent time for a black man in America. So Jerry Jones, he owes us more than that. And I totally agree with LeBron James. So leave a comment down below and let the man on the street know what you think about what LeBron James had to say and what those pundits have to say. All right? And with that...